Hi, we're Machine. I think I'll do a brief introduction while they clear the stage. We're two designers based here in Amsterdam. We met a long time ago, the last century actually, at the art school. And the way we met was, we had the first class by Linda van Deursen, which is one of the best designers in the world. She was our teacher. And she put on a VHS tape with all her work, sort of edited to music. And we were completely blown away, not only because she looked really nice, and we thought it was a new hot girl in class, but mostly once we saw what she sort of did, it opened our eyes and really showed us like, wow, design is an art form all by itself. And then after class, three guys sort of lingered around wanting to absorb a bit more of Linda and her knowledge. And those three guys were me, Mark, and Leo, who's no longer with us. And that later we started a company, and that was called Depth. And we already started working together during school, doing a lot of music-related projects. And now, looking back after 20 years, still work together, still mostly work for music. And tonight, or this afternoon, sorry, we're going to put on a few records that we made the sleeves for. And those records and the method we work for the various records and record labels we do represent us or show you a bit how we work. This is the first record. It's called Sun Ra Dedication on the label Kindred Spirits. It's an Amsterdam-based label. This is Sleep.
Love and life interested me so that I dared to knock at the door of the cosmos. Love and life interested me so that I dared to knock at the door of the cosmos.
So, you get the message?
You get the point. This was the first release on Kindred Spirits, a label that started around the turn of the century. And it was a label started here in Amsterdam with the intention of releasing soulful music, generally speaking. Soulful music from the heart with its roots in jazz, hip-hop, funk, soul. And this was around the time, mind you, when vinyl was more or less extinct. And there were no hipsters yet, and there certainly was no hand-drawn typography on, gentrified windows. And we never really stopped listening to vinyl. For us, it was just normal to buy records in the vinyl format. And as designers wanting to work for music, we always really, the highest ambition was to do sleeves because we thought it was the ultimate marriage of visuals and sound, and also a really nice place where a graphic designer can work on a very autonomous level. And I think that is what we are very much about, is sort of looking for new visual worlds, exploring all the possibilities that are at our disposal, and always sort of on the hunt for new effects or new surprises. And also, I think if you look at us as designers, we're very much like jazz musicians. We agree on a key and we take it from there and we see what happens. And that is, I think, our main motivator, is that surprise element. And this label started actually as flyers that that were handed out that looked like inner sleeves. So music nerds could get these flyers at their record store instead of regular inner sleeves, protective sleeves that are inside the sleeve. And they would have all the info for the party on it. And then later, these party sleeves, so to speak, turned into real sleeves. And this was the first one. And on this label, we sort of started to experiment with bringing our handwriting back into the game. Because before that, it was very much spending hours and hours and hours, trying to look everything digital and perfect. And at a certain point, we got so fed up with it that we wanted to make sort of anti-design, and we wanted to try to make really ugly stuff and maybe find the beauty in that, or at least leave behind the competition, or sort of make stuff that's impossible to copy and fell back on our own skills. Like, okay, what did we learn in kindergarten? Let's apply that. So what we started doing is preparing all these elements by hand, and then without really knowing where it would go, and then using the machine, the computer, more as a means to put it all together. But that obviously again led to super interesting results, or surprising results for us then. This is a sleeve for a band called Flow Riders that took us about 16 weeks to make because we can't paint. And then we made it for them, and they said, yeah, this is really the ugliest sleeve we've ever seen in our lives. So then we stored it on our hard drive until the next band came, and sold it to them. Liquid Spirits, thank you very much. On the right you see a little picture of how that's what design can do exactly, Just wait for the right moment and keep selling it. And then you see sort of how they went. So we really started nerding off into a world of, okay, it has to be made by hand, it has to be authentic. And again, this was, to defend ourselves, this was before authentic became a dirty word. And, we're barbershops and all that.
2001 it was. This.
Yeah. And that was more or less our method of working on this label. And you have to imagine, for us, this was really like, doing dope or going out or having sex, because we start and then, okay, man, let's do this, and then Mark has to go to the bathroom, and I roll a joint, and we're like, yes, and we put on music, and it sounds corny, but it's not. It was really fun to do. And then, of course, we ran into a lot of problems with artists and emotions and expectations, and having to defend it and not getting paid, obviously, And the funny thing is, again, with the archive that you build as a designer, that the next sleeve, this one was a release for Kindred, so a super limited edition, and we made this using, again, the kindergarten technique of potato stamps. And sometimes you see that little stamp there in the middle is between us and you, don't tell anybody, that led to a worldwide campaign for Corona. See, that is the same little potato stamp that they don't know, And we made our money later on. This is actually a stage by Nachtlab, which made that campaign that we worked together on it, not that this is our design. Anyway, this was the first record, that already took up way too much time. Second record we're going to play is from the album The Legendary Adventures of a Filter King, Detroit musician called Carl Craig. He's a brilliant techno musician. This is sort of a collection box that holds his first 12 inches. And yeah. Yes.
You get the point?
It's interesting because sometimes you get to make a sleeve for music that you actually really like. That in this case, that is the case. We took this sleeve as an example because another way in which we operate, again on the quest for surprising results that we cannot sort of imagine on beforehand, is the use of photography, and also that is in the same state of mind of trying to get stuff out of the digital realm, out of the expected software results, out of the pre-dictated possibilities, sort of, and it has the same naivete that we embrace, sort of, when taking on a journey, so to speak, of this album design, because you don't know what happens if you start with little pieces of shards of glass that we picked up somewhere at this old dude in the Jordan, and then try to put it on a table and take photos, and sort of led to this abstract composition. And sometimes we also like to show on the backside of these sleeves how it's made, sort of, or a little peek for, you know, the nerds among us. Backsides are super important to us. A lot of people forget about the backsides. We always try to, you know, make it count as well. Here you see a bit how it was made. Yeah. Another example, also on this nerdy trail that we sometimes walk, is it? Yeah, it has to be real, you know. So we made. His wife is a ceramist. So hey, you know, Ans can bake a vase. Let's do something with that, you know. And then our next door neighbor, super brilliant photographer Maurice Schelters, took this photo. That's a bit how it goes, you know. Sometimes you have to look close. And
because we don't really get paid in this project, we ask or demand total freedom, so we can explore within every release some new technique or new form or something that we haven't done before to surprise us. So it's really a platform of creativity, and because of this total freedom, and because of asking no money, you can have that in return. So our only goal is that these records are actually released, even though we have sometimes a problem with the artist not liking it. We'd rather get no money and still have the product out there, because that's what we make it for, you know, that it is alive and it's actually there and not somewhere in your desktop folder.
good point. Artist is not always the best critic, obviously also because the album is so close to his or her heart, it's hard to let go. This was a good example of putting the artist on the cover without showing him. And yeah, I mean, you know, not everybody looks fantastic. And this was also a nice sort of compromise, because it also tapped into a sort of the ancient hip-hop or gang history of having these painted back pieces. And it made sense, you know, because, you know, he made rap music. Okay, we have to hurry up.
Oh, yeah.
The next little track we want to play is by a band called Heavy. And this, in turn, leads to, you know, a part of our work which is very much about, yeah, lettering or enthusiastic type.
Sorry, de wereld draait door.
Yada yada yada, nice music. That's awesome. If you make a sleeve, oh yeah, what kind of music is yeah, so okay, let's do something with flowers.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
That's
with
usually the way it goes.
Yeah.
Like we have five minutes of talking, and yeah, let's do something with that. Sit behind a computer, and I'm like, no, let me do that flower, and then he's like,
no, there has to be green.
Yeah. So it's really painting together, sitting always next to each other like this for 20 years.
Yeah, and then if to imagine really it goes like, no, Mark, this can't be yellow. This has to be pink. Anyway, so we, you know, take each other serious, and we take the work serious, I guess. Type can be image, image can be type is one of my notes. We've always had a very open-minded and flexible attitude towards the authority of the letter shape, you could say. You know, coming out of a graffiti-related background, comic, we always, I don't know, saw type as more than, you know, just a means of putting, you know, putting words together, so to speak. We saw it as interesting shapes that could also become image-like, or that could melt, or that, you know, sort of could live their own life and be very, yeah, could look sentimental or could look aggressive, or, you know, obviously, you know, that can also happen if you don't fuck with it, so to speak. But we also do that in large part to make it ours. We are very driven by the idea of originality, I think, of trying at least, of course you can be inspired by something, but trying to find your own way, make your own little, you know, island in this sea of design. And this is, yeah, one aspect where we can do that, because we don't really care if you can read it, which also led to a lot of problems, I can assure you. But, you know, I think
Yeah,
that
that's
was
about
more
it.
or less.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, New York. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark and Paul. Come on over here. Mark, can I just ask you one quick question? Because I think there's a lot of people here who will be very jealous of what you do, combining music, festivals, and design all together. So, just quickly, how did it start? How did you get going doing something like so exciting, which brings all the elements together?
I think it's not maybe a choice. It's something that was on our path. We love music and we loved going out and going to clubs from the beginning on.
Yeah.
So we sort of took that and said, okay, this is the space where we can design something that's so free and so ours. That's not that limited, and it's a blank canvas. I mean, music is so abstract; it goes through your head, and you have an emotion or a feeling, so you can create almost anything with it.
Yeah.
And that still is a great venture to do that. Every release we can think of something we haven't done yet. So it keeps on going.
And you were encouraged at the Rietveld?
Yeah.
Nou ja, Peter Seville, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
Is he here?
Peter, are you here? We really hoped he would look at our stuff.
Okay. So there you have it. Thank you very much, Mark
Thanks.
and Paul.